Okay, we'll wait for 2 minutes. Let all the students come and join to the class so that we can start the session. Is the screen visible to you all? Is the video and audio clear to you all? Anyone can please respond? Is the video and audio clear to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Today we are going to discuss about types of operating systems. So far we have completed some of the concepts related to the operating system introduction. We have already done. In the introduction we have covered definition of operating system, and then what is the abstract view of a computer components. In this view you have a total different 3 components, I think. User, operating system, and then computer hardware, right? So user is who is willing to access the applications, right? The application, it may be a compiler, it may be a text editor, or it may be a database system, right? Each and every individual user has its own requirement with a computer, right? So I already told you operating system is an interface between user and the computer hardware. So that is the definition of operating system, right? And then what are the other things we have discussed earlier? So operating system is also called as a resource manager. Resource manager. Why it is called as resource manager? Why? Because the operating system manages all the system resources. That is the reason why it is called as resource manager. Okay, what are the resources available in your computer? For example, CPU is one of the resource, memory is one of the resource, IO devices are the resources of a machine. All these resources are managed by the operating system. That is the reason why it is called as resource manager. Okay. So even we can call the operating system as a control program. So why it is called as control program? Why? Because operating system is responsible for loading the program into memory, as well as it is responsible for executing the program. That means program execution, right? How it is responsible for program execution? Why? Because the operating system allocates CPU to the program so that the CPU will execute the program, right? Operating system will allocate CPU to that particular program so that CPU will execute the program. So operating system is responsible for loading and for execution, right? That is the reason why it is called as control program, right? And next, operating system is also called a kernel. What is a kernel? Kernel is heart of the operating system. Kernel is the heart of operating system. Why it is called as heart of the operating system? Why? Because whatever the functionalities the operating system has to provide to the user, all those functionalities will be provided by the kernel. What are the functions of operating system? It may be the file management, maybe a process management, it may be a memory management, it may be a device management, all those things. These are the few functionalities of operating system. There are plenty of functionalities of operating system. You came to know once you go to the operating system syllabus deeply, right? So all these are the functionalities provided to the user by the operating system. So internally, kernel will responsible for the functionalities, right? So all these we have covered yesterday. From the past 3 classes we have discussed already. So I think the participants, so many participants are there. So let me start the new class. Today's class. Right? Today we are going to discuss about operating system types. Better we call it as types of operating, right? So this is today's topic. So before going to discuss about types of operating systems, first I would like to give some basic information about how a program is executed in your machine, right? Initially, all the programs are available in the secondary memory. All programs, right? We can call it as a job pool. So job or task or program, all are similar, right? Job, task, program, all are similar, right? So initially all the programs are available in the secondary memory, right? Whenever you want to execute, whenever you want to use a few of the applications or programs which are available in the secondary memory, those particular programs need to be moved from secondary memory to main memory, right? So for example, this is a main memory. Initially operating system is loaded from secondary memory to main memory, and the remaining main memory is divided into blocks, right? So whenever you want to run few programs, those programs need to be loaded from secondary memory to main memory. As I said earlier, you want to listen to the music, so you require MP3 player. And next, what you require, for example, if you want to run the C programming, reverse of a given number, rev.c, for example. And third, what you would like to do, you want to uh, open Internet Explorer in order to search something. Okay, so all these are the different applications, right? So all these are the different applications. So rev.c, we need to load a turbo C. Turbo C is a C software for running a C programs. And next, Internet Explorer is a search engine. MP3 player is for music play, right? So all these 3 things now you want to use. So whenever you want to use, automatically you will click on that particular application. Click. Whenever you click on the application, automatically these 3 applications are loaded from secondary memory to main memory, right? So now this is MP3 and this is rev.c and this is IE, right? But we have plenty of applications available in the secondary memory, right? So job pool means we have many applications. WhatsApp is there, and next Facebook is there, and next Instagram is there, like that Ludo is there, Temple Run is there, and next Chrome is there, YouTube, MyGeo, like that you have plenty of applications, right? So all these applications are available in the secondary memory. But whenever you want to use a particular applications from those applications, the particular applications will be loaded from secondary memory to main memory, right? Not all the applications. That is what you need to understand. So what are the applications you are now using? Those applications are moved from secondary memory to main memory. That means these applications are subset of all the applications, right? Subset means in a math, you know. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is a set. 2, 3 is a subset of this one, right? Likewise, we have, for example, so many applications in our computer, right? Like YouTube, Chrome, like blah, 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 blah. So many applications are there. All these are considered as job pool. From those job pool, only we need to run these three things. So these three things will be loaded from secondary memory to main memory, right? That means whenever you use the application, that application will be loaded from secondary memory to main memory. All the remaining applications are available in the secondary memory itself. Is it clear for you all? Is it clear for you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Right? So now I am going to teach you the exact topic. If it is clear to you all, then you are comfortable. Now to listen the types of operating system. I will ask you, I will give you one question. Please try to answer it. For example, if you want to run a C program, called prime.c, for example. After execution, you need to take the printout of the result. That is your task. You need to run your C program. First you need to type the C program prime.c and you need to save it, and then after that you need to run the prime.c. After the execution you need to take the printout by using a printer, right? So in order to accomplish this particular task, what are the system resources do you require? That is my question. I repeat the question. You need to type the C program first, and then once you type the C program, you need to store the C programming. After storing, you need to run the C programming. After executing, you need to take the printout. That means storing C program, that is prime.c. That is your first task. Second thing, you need to run the program, and third task, you need to take the printout of result. So these are the three things you need to do. In order to do these three things, what are the system resources do you require? That is my question. That is my first question. First question.
C compiler first.
No. First thing, you need to store the C programming. For that, what you require? In order to store the C programming, where it will be stored?
Memory.
Memory, which memory?
Secondary memory.
Right.
Memory.
To store the C programming, it will be stored in the secondary memory. Whenever you type prime.c save, whenever you press the save button, automatically stored in the secondary memory. Right. Your first question answer. And next second question. In order to run the C program, what you require? Who will run your program?
Compiler.
Compiler will compile the program. Okay, for your clue, run or execute. Sorry, run or execute.
Main
CPU.
memory.
Who will execute?
CPU.
Right. CPU will execute your program. In order to take the printout, which device we require?
Printer.
Printer.
Printer. Printer is a output device. Right? In order to accomplish this particular task, so we require these resources, right? Okay. So among all these things, in order to run your C programming, where the C programming is available now? In the secondary memory. In order to run the C program, so we need to take the help of CPU. But CPU can execute the secondary, can access the secondary memory? My second question to you.
No.
No, CPU can't access.
Right. CPU cannot access the secondary memory. For that purpose, what we need to do? We need to move the
Load
program.
it into the
Prime
Yeah,
dot,
allocate memory to main
prime dot
memory.
need to be loaded to primary memory.
Main memory.
Primary memory or main memory, right? So once it is loaded into the main memory, then it is ready to execute, right? Once it is available in the main memory, that means the program is ready to execute. So that program will be allocated from main memory to whom we need to assign the task. So once the
process.
program is available in the main memory, so that from main memory, it is allocated to CPU.
CPU.
CPU will execute the program, and then after that we need to take the printer help, right? So printer is used to print the result. So in order to accomplish the previous task, we require all these things, all these steps we require, right? My third question to you. Among these three resources, which one is faster? Among these three resources, which one is a faster? Secondary memory,
Main memory.
CPU, printer. Which device, which resource is faster?
Secondary memory.
Main memory.
CPU is faster. Why? Because it takes nanoseconds, microseconds of time to run your program. But in order to store something in the secondary memory, at least it will take some seconds or minutes of time. Whenever you are storing something, whenever you are storing a picture into a picture, so automatically it takes a fraction of second time to store the file into the disk, right? Whenever you want to take the printout, so the printer will take some time to give you the printout, right? But when you go for the CPU is the fastest device. It can run millions of instructions in milliseconds, not in milliseconds, even microseconds, if it is a supercomputer, right? So CPU can run the millions of instructions in a fraction of milli microseconds, right? Whereas a secondary memory and a printer will take a little bit of time to take the printout and to store the information in the memory. So among these resources, CPU is faster. Up to this point, is it clear for you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Now we are going to start the actual one. So earlier, all the programs are available in the secondary memory. Earlier also, all the programs are available in the secondary memory, right? So operating system is available in the secondary memory, and all the programs, all the applications are available in the secondary memory. But the main memory is not divided into blocks. Remember this point. Earlier, the main memory is not divided into blocks. 0 maybe 512 KB. Right? 0 is a starting address. Initially, whenever you turn on your machine, operating system will be loaded from secondary memory to main memory. Right? So that is called as booting. Okay, so operating system is loaded from secondary memory to main memory. Once the OS is loaded to the main memory, then the system is ready to use. If we observe here, all the remaining portion of the main memory is not divided into blocks. Right? That means how many number of programs we can load into the main memory now? It is not divided into blocks. So how many number of programs we can load into the main memory? Sorry?
No count.
Hello.
Tell me how many?
Hello.
How many number of programs we can load into the main memory?
Hello.
Any number of programs we can load it, ma'am.
No. Earlier, it is considered as a only single block. It will be considered as a single block. Only one program at a time we can keep into the main memory. It is very important. You need to understand. In the earlier days, only the main memory is divided into two blocks. One block is for operating system and the entire remaining portion of main memory is for user. But it is not divided into blocks. So
Hello.
only one program we can keep in the main memory.
Hello.
Right? So I don't want to mute
No.
all the participant. Why? Because I need an interactive session. So if I ask you something, you
No.
will be able to
Chebu.
give me the answer so that I can understand
అంటే
the
క్లాస్ లాగిన్
topic and
అవ్వమంటే
understood by you.
పడుగులు వెళ్తాను
Right?
పడుగులు ఎగ్జామ్స్ ఉంటాను మండే లాగిన్ అవ్వమంటే
Some people are making a noise. If I
నేను
mute all
చెప్పాను
the participants, na,
నన్నే
you cannot give me the answer.
అవమానే
You
చెప్తాను
need to give me the answer via the charts. At that particular moment
అర్థం
of
కాదు
time, you need to type the chart. It will be not a very good interactive session. It could not be a very
దానికి
good
ఫోన్
interactive
చేసింది
session.
2 రోజులు ఉంటాండ్రా
The chart.
మండే
Right? So the people who are willing to make a calls are willing to answer the calls. So better you quit from the class and then you can go for the calls. Otherwise it will create so much of disturbance to the so many people. Thank you. Coming to our class. So I don't want to suspend the class and give other information and again coming to the class. So it will be a problem for me and for you too. So better you decide once whether you want to attend to the class or you want to not attend the class. Choose one thing and attend the class. Right? Thank you. So coming to our class, secondary memory and the main memory. So operating system is initially loaded from secondary memory to main memory. From that particular moment of time, the system is ready to use. But if you observe here, the entire main memory is not divided into partitions. The entire main memory is not divided into partition. That means we can keep only one program into the main memory. That is what I want to convey to you, right? So that whenever you want to run a program, we need to keep one program. For example, you want to listen MP music. So only we can keep MP3 player into the main memory, right? Now we want to run the C programming prime.c. It is also available in the secondary memory. So you want to keep the prime.c into the main memory. In order to keep the prime.c into the main memory, what you need to do? You need to swap out. It is called as swap out. That means moving the MP3 player from main memory to secondary memory. It is called as swap in. Swap in means moving the application from secondary memory to main memory. So you need to have this idea: swap out, swap in. Combinedly, we call it as swapping. Right? Swap in means from secondary memory to main memory. Swap out means from main memory to secondary memory. Right? Initially, what happened? The operating system is loaded into the main memory. People who are not understanding, I will explain you one more time. Initially, the operating system is loaded and the entire main memory is not divided into blocks. That means it will be considered as a single block. If it is a single block, only we can keep one process. That is, you need to understand. One process at a time. Right? If you want, sir, for example, the first process is P1 and second process is P2. If you want to run the P1, you need to keep the P1 in the main memory. Once the P1 execution is over, automatically you need to swap out the P1 and swap in the P2. P2 means process 2. Right? Is it clear for you all?
Yes, ma'am.
So it is called as single user. Right? And next, one more thing I would like to convey to you is so what happened if you keep only one process into the main memory? What is the problem for it? What is the problem arised? So for example, if we keep only one process in the main memory, for example, thousands of process available in the secondary memory. From secondary memory, only P1 is moved from here. For example, P1, P2, P3, three processors are available in the secondary memory. So now we want to execute P1. So P1 is loaded from secondary memory to main memory, right? So I already gave you one example, right? This process is nothing but your prime.c. You want to run prime.c, right? In order to run prime.c, you require CPU. So prime P1 is allocated to CPU. Once you execute the C program, what you need to do? You need to take the printout, right? In order to take the printout, CPU required? Is the CPU required to take the printout? Is the CPU required to take the printout?
No printer is required.
Right. That means CPU is idle at that particular moment of time. Are you got my point?
Yes, ma'am.
From main memory, you are allocating CPU for execution, right? Once the execution is over, that particular result will be sent to printer to take the printouts, right? Output device printer is needed to take the printout. At that particular moment of time, while we are taking the printouts, CPU is ideal. So what we need to do? We need to keep the CPU always busy. Keep the CPU always busy. Why we need to keep the CPU always busy? If the CPU is busy means CPU is running our programs. If CPU running our programs, automatically system performance will be more. Why? Because we can run programs, more number of programs with less time. Why? Because all the time we are using CPU, right? Are you got my point? If there is only one process in the main memory, so there is no other process available. So we cannot give a process to CPU. That is the main problem, right? Is it clear for you all? How many number of programs are available in the main memory? Tell me. How many number of processes are available in the main memory now? By seeing this particular diagram,
1.
Only P1.
only one program, only one process. That particular process is given to CPU. CPU execute that program. After executing that particular process, the rest of things will be done by the printer. At that particular moment of time, CPU is idle. In order to make the CPU busy, what we need to do? We need to allocate some other process to CPU, but there are no process. But there are no process in main memory. Okay? The CPU has to wait. That is the problem. If the main memory is not divided into blocks and if only one process is available in the main memory. Is it clear for you all?
Yes, ma'am.
In order to avoid such a problem, what we need to do? We need to keep multiple number of programs into the main memory. So again, I am using the same example for your convenience. Operating system, and now the main memory is divided into blocks. Let me explain with the same example. And this is the secondary memory. In the secondary memory, we have P1, P2, P3. This is secondary memory. And this is main memory, right? So now, if you first, as usually, you want to run the prime.c. So P1 means prime.c. It will be loaded from secondary memory to main memory. So P1 is allocated to CPU. Prime.c is now allocated to CPU and CPU will execute that program. CPU will execute that program, and once the execution is over, the result will be printed by the printer. While printing, there is no need of CPU, right? So there is no need of CPU. There is no need of CPU. So that is the reason why if multiple programs are available in main memory, so meanwhile the CPU is allocated to P2. Again P2 is busy with IO read. What is IO read? I will let you know. Process 1 is prime.c. In our example, process 2 is reading the information, information from file. That is your second process. Read the information from the file. How many resources do you require in order to read the information from a file? My first question is where the file is available. Where the file is available?
In the main memory.
Main memory. For example, if you want to open a photo, where the photos are stored,
In secondary memory.
right? Then where the file is stored,
In secondary memory.
right? Second, all the information, no doubt, whenever you install something, whenever you download something, or whenever you store any picture, or whenever you store any document, so everything will be stored in your secondary memory. There is no confusion. Whenever you want to run the application, then the main memory came into picture, right? Secondary memory means in your disk. In your computer, if you observe, you have different types of drivers are there. C, D, E, F. Whenever you save your picture, where it will be stored? It may be stored in a E drive or F drive. Is it correct or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? All your files and folders, document files, applications are everything, movie, all are available in your drive. So in your My Computer, there is a drive. There are drives like C, D, E, right? So all the files you stored in a E drive. So all these are drives are the partitions of a disk. hard disk. In your computer, the hard disk is divided into C drive, D drive, and E drive. So whenever you want to save a file, you might save your file in C or D or E drive. Depending upon your requirement, you can store your file in any of the drive, right? That means files are stored in which memory?
Secondary memory.
Files are stored in the secondary memory, right? That means in a disk. In a disk, CD is also comes under secondary memory, right? So whenever you want to read something, automatically, what is your second process? Reading information from a file. So automatically, so in order to read the information from a hard disk, CPU required. Reading the information from a disk, is a CPU required?
No, ma'am.
So obviously at that particular moment of time, again CPU will become idle. In order to make the CPU busy, so we can run the third program so that we can keep P3. Okay. So what you need to do is read the information from a file, and you need to print that information by using a printer, right? So likewise, whenever P1 is busy with printer, so we need to switch the CPU from P1 to P2. Now P2 is busy with reading information from a file. So at that particular moment of time, again CPU is idle. So we switch the CPU from P2 to P3. Like that fashion, the operating system will switch the CPU from P1 to P2 and P2 to P3. So CPU has work all the time. It will never be idle. Are you understand my point? Is it clear for you all? What is the problem in the first case? In the first case, operating system and entire user area is a single block. In our second case, operating system and the main memory is divided into blocks. If the main memory is divided into the blocks, we can keep multiple process into the main memory. P1, P2, P3, P4. Likewise, we can keep multiple number of process into the main memory, right? Whenever we allocate CPU to P1 and CPU executes the P1 and the P1 requires a printer help. At that particular moment of time, CPU is allocated to P2. Why? Because P2 is also available in the main memory and CPU can access the main memory, right? So if P2 is busy with IO means input output operation, and it needs to read something from a file. So automatically at that particular moment of time, again CPU will be idle. So in order to make the CPU busy, you can allocate the CPU to P3. Likewise, from P1 to P2 and P2 to P3, once the file operation is over, again CPU is allocated from P3 to P2. Like that, CPU is switched from P1 to P2 and P2 to P3 and P3 to P2. Like that, the CPU is switching from one process to another process. So that is called as CPU switching. Switching the CPU from one job to another job or one process to another process, right? How can we switch the CPU from one process to another process? Because there are many programs, many processes available in the main memory, so that we can keep the CPU always busy. We can keep the CPU always busy. Okay, if in the first case what happened, there is only one process, so that process is, for example, prime.c. I already told you. So process 1 is allocated to CPU. So CPU executes the prime.c. After execution, the result will be sent to printer for taking the printout. Right? So at that particular moment of time, while the printer is printing the result, the CPU will be idle. So we need to allocate some other process to CPU for execution, but there are no process available, right? No process available in the main memory. No process available in the main memory. So that is the problem if you keep only one process in the main memory. So in order to solve this problem, we'll move to the concept called multi-programming. Right? So this is the concept name. Right? Why? What is the need of going to the multi-programming? Why? Because in the case of single user program, CPU is idle. In order to avoid such a problem, we need to go for the multi-programming. Multi-programming means multiple programs are available in the main memory. What is multi-programming? We can keep multiple programs into the main memory. Why? Because the main memory is divided into blocks, so that we can keep multiple programs into the main memory. If you keep multiple programs into the main memory, then CPU has always a process to run. CPU has always a process to run. అంటే సిపియూకి ఎప్పుడు ఒక ప్రాసెస్ మెయిన్ మెమరీలో అవైలబుల్గా ఉంటుంది. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒక ప్రాసెస్ ఒక వర్క్తో బిజీగా ఉంది, దానికి సిపియూ అవసరం లేదనుకోండి, దాన్ని ఆటోమేటిక్గా సిపియూని మనం ఇంకొక ప్రాసెస్కి అసైన్ చేయొచ్చు. ఆ ప్రాసెస్కి కనుక సిపియూ అవసరం లేదు, వేరే వర్క్ ఫైల్లో ఏదో డేటా రీడ్ చేసుకుంటూ ఉంటుంది, అప్పుడు సిపియూ అవసరం లేదనుకుంటే మళ్ళీ ఆ ప్రాసెస్ నుంచి సిపియూని వేరే ప్రాసెస్ స్విచ్ చేయొచ్చు. అలా మనకు మెయిన్ మెమరీలో మల్టిపుల్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ ప్రాసెస్ ఉన్నాయి కాబట్టి we can assign process to CPU all the time. So CPU is always busy, so that system performance will be more. But in the case of earlier systems, the entire main memory is a single partition, so we can keep only one process. Whenever there is a need of reading the information from a disk, or whenever there is a need of a printer to that particular process, automatically there is no need of a CPU, right? So at the time CPU is idle. That is the problem in the first case. In order to avoid such a problem, we'll move to the multi-programming operating system. Do you understand? Do you understand? Is it clear? Is it clear? Do you have any doubts up to this point? Let me know. So those are the two types of operating systems. The first one is a single user operating system, and the next one is a multi-programming operating system. Right? So far, if you have any doubts, let me know. Otherwise, we'll go for the question answer session. Are you there? Right, 503 is there. Right, okay. I will send you the message otherwise.
మేడం
Tell me.
సిపియులో ప్రాసెస్ ఏం లేకపోతే ఏమైంది మేడం?
ఏంటమ్మా?
సిపియులో ప్రాసెస్ ఏమీ లేకపోతే
యాక్చువల్గా సిపియులో ప్రాసెస్ ఏమి ఉండవమ్మా. సిపియుకి ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ మెయిన్ మెమరీ నుంచి ఒక ప్రాసెస్ని అలొకేట్ చేస్తుంది అనమాట. ఒకవేళ కనుక మెయిన్ మెమరీలో ప్రాసెస్ ఏమీ లేవు, ఒక ప్రాసెసే ఉంది, ఆ ప్రాసెస్ ఆల్రెడీ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసేసింది సిపియు. తర్వాత ప్రింటర్ ప్రింట్అవుట్ తీస్తుంది. ఆ టైంలో సిపియు ఐడియల్గా ఉంటుంది. సిపియు ఐడియల్గా ఉందనుకోండి, అంటే మన ప్రాసెసర్ ఎక్కువసేపు ఐడియల్గా ఉంది అంటే మీనింగ్ ఏంటి? మన సిస్టమ్ అనేది స్లోగా రన్, మనం ఎక్కువ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ రన్ చేయలేకపోతున్నామని. అంటే మీకు అంటే మన సిస్టమ్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ మనం దేంతో మెజర్ చేస్తాము అంటే త్రూపుట్తో మెజర్ చేస్తాము. త్రూపుట్ అంటే ఏంటి అంటే నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ tasks or number of instructions executed per second or number of tasks accomplished per unit time అని, రైట్? సో నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ టాస్క్ అకంప్లిష్ పర్ యూనిట్ టైం అంటే మీనింగ్ ఏంటి? మన సిస్టమ్ బెటర్గా పర్ఫామ్ చేస్తుంది అని మనం ఎలా చెప్తాము అంటే తక్కువ టైంలో ఎక్కువ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ని ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేయాలి. అప్పుడు మన సిస్టమ్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ బెటర్గా ఉందని చెప్తాం అనమాట. త్రూపుట్ అనేది ఏంటి అంటే సిస్టమ్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ని మెజర్ చేయడానికి మనం త్రూపుట్ని యూజ్ చేస్తాం. త్రూపుట్ అంటే నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ టాస్క్ అకంప్లిష్డ్ పర్ యూనిట్. సో మనం ఎన్ని టాస్క్లు అయితే తక్కువ టైంలో కంప్లీట్ చేస్తామో మన సిస్టమ్ అనేది అంత బెటర్గా వర్క్ చేస్తున్నట్టు. యూజువల్గా మనం కంప్యూటర్ ల్యాప్టాప్ కానీ మనం పర్చేజ్ చేసేటప్పుడు ప్రాసెసర్ స్పీడ్ చూస్తాం కదా. ప్రాసెసర్ స్పీడ్ ఎందుకు? ఎంత తక్కువ టైంలో ఎక్కువ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేస్తుంది. సో అందుకని మనకి సిపియుకి ఎప్పుడు ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ అనేది ఎగ్జిక్యూషన్కి రెడీగా ఉండాలన్నమాట. కానీ ఇప్పుడు మనకి ప్రీవియస్ ఓల్డెన్ డేస్లో ఏం జరిగింది? మెయిన్ మెమరీలో ఓన్లీ వన్ ప్రోగ్రామే మనం పెట్టగలుగుతున్నాం. ఎందుకంటే మెయిన్ మెమరీ అనేది పార్టీషన్స్గా డివైడ్ అవ్వలేదు. ఓన్లీ మెయిన్ మెమరీ అనేది 2 పార్ట్స్గా డివైడ్ అయింది. ఫస్ట్ పార్టీషన్లోనేమో ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ ప్లేస్ చేసాము. రిమైనింగ్ అంతా యూజర్ పార్టీషన్ మొత్తంకి ఓన్లీ ఒక ప్రోగ్రామే మనం పెట్టగలం మెయిన్ మెమరీ. ఓకేనా? అప్పుడు ఏం జరుగుతుంది? ఆ ప్రోగ్రామ్కి ఫైల్లోంచి డిస్క్లోంచి డేటా రీడ్ చేసుకునే ప్రోగ్రామ్ అయి ఉండొచ్చు, ఆర్ ప్రింట్అవుట్ ఏదైనా ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసి ప్రింట్అవుట్ చేసేది అయి ఉండొచ్చు. అప్పుడు ఎప్పుడైతే వాటికి ఐఓ డివైసెస్ అవసరం అవుతాయో అప్పుడు ఆటోమేటిక్ ఏం జరుగుతుంది? సిపియు అనేది ఐడియల్గా ఉండిపోతుంది. ఎప్పుడైతే మనకి సిపియు ఐడిల్ టైం పెరిగిపోతూ ఉంటుందో సిస్టమ్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ అనేది డెటరేట్ అయిపోతుంది, అంటే డిక్రీజ్ అయిపోతూ ఉంటుంది అన్నమాట. ఆ ప్రాబ్లమ్ని అవాయిడ్ చేయడం కోసం మనకి మల్టీ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ వచ్చింది. మల్టీ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ అంటే ఏంటి? దాని నేమ్లోనే ఉంది కదా. మల్టిపుల్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ వీ కెన్ కీప్ ఇన్ టు ద మెయిన్ మెమరీ. whenever there are multiple programs into the main memory, automatically CPU has one program all the time to run. So CPU never become ideal anamata because multiple number of programs into the main memory. Is it clear for you all now?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And next one more thing, one more concept we need to understand here, that is called as Spooling. Very important question, right? Whenever you go for any gate and any other competitive examinations, they might ask you question, spooling. So I already told you one thing, right? So whenever you want to run a prime.c, what you need to do? So first the program is available in the secondary memory. From the secondary memory, it will be loaded to the main memory. Whenever you load into the main memory, we can allocate it to the CPU. So once the CPU execute the program, so we need to take the printout with the help of printer. So I need to call the prime.c as a P1, right? Whenever P1 is completes all these steps and it will move to the last step, printout, right? So that means the P1 is now busy with the printer. So at that time CPU is idle, right? So in order to make the CPU busy, the CPU is allocated to some other process, right? Okay, that means before completing the task 1 ఎప్పుడు కంప్లీట్ అవుతుంది మనకి? కంప్లీట్ గా ప్రింట్ అవుట్ తీసుకున్నప్పుడు మనకి టాస్క్ కంప్లీట్ అవుతుంది. ఓకేనా? సో ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ దిస్ ఈస్ ద టైమ్ లైన్ ఫర్ P1. ఈ ప్రాసెస్ మొత్తం కంప్లీట్ అయి ప్రింట్ అవుట్ తీసుకునేటప్పటికి మనకి P1 కంప్లీట్ అవుతుంది. ఇక్కడికి ఇంకా కంప్లీట్ అవ్వలేదు కదా. P1 కంప్లీట్ అవ్వకుండానే మనం ఏం చేసాము? CPU నీడ్ లేదు కదా, అందుకని CPU ఐడిల్ గా ఉండడం ఇష్టం లేక CPU P2 ప్రాసెస్ ఇక్కడ స్టార్ట్ అయింది. దిస్ ఈస్ ద టైమ్ లైన్ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఫర్ P2. సో P2 ప్రాసెస్ కి CPU ని అలొకేట్ చేస్తాం అన్నమాట. అప్పుడు CPU ఐడిల్ గా ఉండదు. సో ఈ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఏమంటాము అంటే స్పూలింగ్ అని కూడా అనొచ్చు. ఎందుకంటే అవుట్పుట్ ఏదైతే IO డివైస్ ఉందో ఆ IO డివైస్ వర్క్ అయ్యేటప్పుడు CPU ఫ్రీగా ఉంటుంది కదా, అలా CPని ఫ్రీగా ఉంచకుండా CPని మనం వేరే దానికి ఇస్తాం అన్నమాట, రైట్? ఇట్లా పెండింగ్ ఉంటాయి కదా, P1, P2, P3 ఇవన్నీ మెయిన్ మెమరీలో ఉన్నాయి. మెయిన్ మెమరీలో ఉన్నాయి అంటే మీనింగ్ ఏంటి? మెయిన్ మెమరీలో ఉంటే అవి ఉంటాయి అంటే మెయిన్ మెమరీలో వెయిట్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట. మెయిన్ మెమరీలో పెడుతున్నాం అంటే మీనింగ్ ఏంటి? రన్ చేసేటప్పుడే కదా సెకండరీ మెమరీ నుంచి మెయిన్ మెమరీకి వచ్చేది. సో ఎప్పుడైతే మనం వాటిని రన్ చేయాలనుకుంటామో సో ఆటోమేటిక్గా అవి మెయిన్ మెమరీలో ఉంటాయి, వెయిట్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాయి. ఎవరి కోసం వెయిట్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాయి? CPU కోసం వెయిట్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట. ఓకేనా? సో ఫస్ట్ P1 ఇస్తాము. P1 ప్రింటర్తో బిజీగా ఉంది కాబట్టి అప్పుడు CPU ఐడిల్గా ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి CPU కోసం వెయిట్ చేస్తున్న P2కి ఇస్తాం. తర్వాత P2కి ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత P3కి ఇస్తాం. ఓకేనా? P1కి ఫస్ట్ ఇవ్వాలా, P2కి ఫస్ట్ ఇవ్వాలా, P3కి ఫస్ట్ ఇవ్వాలా, ఎవరికి ఫస్ట్ ఇవ్వాలి అనేవి షెడ్యూలింగ్ అల్గోరిథం. ఎవరికి ఫస్ట్ ఇవ్వాలి అనేది షెడ్యూలింగ్ అల్గోరిథం డిజైన్ చేస్తాం. సో ఈ మెయిన్ మెమరీ లోపల ఒక క్యూ ఉంటుంది, దాన్నే మనం వెయిటింగ్ క్యూ అంటాం. ఓకేనా? వెయిటింగ్ క్యూలో ఈ ప్రాసెస్లన్నీ వెయిట్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాయి. ఎవరి కోసం వెయిట్ చేస్తాయి? CPU కోసం వెయిట్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాయి. ఇట్లా కనుక మనకు మెయిన్ మెమరీలో కనుక మల్టిపుల్ ప్రాసెస్లు ఉంటే మనం అప్పుడు హ్యాపీగా CPUని ఐడిల్గా ఉంచకుండా ఒక ప్రాసెస్ IO ఆపరేషన్తో కానీ ఏదైనా డివైస్ కోసం కానీ వెయిట్ చేస్తూ ఉంటే ఆ టైంలో CPUని వెయిట్ చేసే పని లేకుండా వేరే ప్రాసెస్కి మనం అసైన్ చేయొచ్చు. అర్థమైందా?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And the next type of system is a parallel system. Parallel అంటే ఏంటి? Another word for the parallel is concurrent. Concurrent అంటే ఏంటి? Concurrent. When we do something, when you do two things at the same time, then it is called as we are running the two things parallelly.
Simultaneously.
So in the parallel system, we have a multiple number of CPUs. CPU 1, CPU 2, and CPU 3 like fashion, we have a multiple number of processes. All these processors are sharing same memory, sharing only one memory, that is only one main memory and multiple number of CPUs. So all these CPUs are working parallelly. CPU 1 will assign one task, task 1, CPU 2 assign task 2, and for CPU 3 we will assign task 3. That is the reason why it is called as parallel system. Okay, if you run multiple programs parallelly, what will happen? What are the advantages? If you run multiple tasks at the same time, what will happen? I already told you now, throughput will be more. System performance will improve. Why? Because at the same time, we can run 3 tasks here. Okay. So all these 3 processes are connecting to the same memory. Right? Here, if you observe, 3 processors are there. Na? If any of the processor is a fail to work, automatically the load of this processor is assigned to any of these processors. That means one processor is failed to work, so that we can use the remaining 2 processes. That is called as fault tolerance. That is another advantage. And next, speed. And the next one, for example, if all these processors are same in capability, then it is called as SMP. SMP means symmetric multi-processor. That means all are same, are having equal capabilities. Right? And the next one is asymmetric. Asymmetric means asymmetric multiprocessor. As the name indicates, multiprocessor means multiple processors. And means multiple processors available, multiple CPUs are available. Right? Asymmetric means one CPU is act as a server. All the remaining will act as client. That means the server will assign the work, all the clients will perform the job. That is called as asymmetric. Okay. In the case of symmetric, all CPUs same capable. No master, no slave. But in the case of asymmetric, master, slave. One client is act as a, one CPU is act as a master, and all the remaining are act as a slaves. That means master will give the command, slaves has to follow. And master ఏదైతే వర్క్ అసైన్ చేస్తారో రిమైనింగ్ సిపియూస్ అన్ని ఆ వర్క్ చేయాలి. ఫస్ట్ కేసులో ఏంటి, ఆల్ ద సిపియూస్ ఈక్వల్ అనమాట. CPU 1, CPU 2, CPU 3, ఆల్ ద 3 ఆర్ ఈక్వల్. ఓకే. బట్ ఇన్ ద కేస్ ఆఫ్ స్లేవ్, మాస్టర్ స్లేవ్ టెక్నాలజీ అంటే అసిమెట్రిక్ మల్టీ ప్రాసెసర్లో ఏం జరుగుతుంది అంటే, CPU 1 సర్వర్ అనుకోండి, ఆల్ ద రిమైనింగ్ ఆర్ క్లయింట్స్. మనం సర్వర్ అనొచ్చు, ఆర్ దీన్ని మాస్టర్ కూడా అనొచ్చు. ఫస్ట్ CPU మాస్టర్ చెప్పినట్టు సెకండ్ CPU, థర్డ్ CPU, స్వాన్, CPU-N, రిమైనింగ్ CPUs అన్ని వినాలి. దాన్ని మనం మాస్టర్ స్లేవ్ అంటాం. ఓకేనా. అంటే మాస్టర్కి హై క్యాపబిలిటీస్ ఉంటాయి, అండ్ రిమైనింగ్ అన్ని నార్మల్ క్యాపబిలిటీస్ ఉంటాయి. సో అంటే క్యాపబిలిటీస్లో డిఫరెన్స్ ఉంది కదా, అందుకని అసిమెట్రిక్ మల్టీ ప్రాసెసర్ అంటాం. సిమెట్రిక్ మల్టీ ప్రాసెసర్ అంటే మీనింగ్ ఏంటి, ఆల్ CPUs ఆర్ హ్యావింగ్ సేమ్ క్యాపబిలిటీ. Got it? Likewise, we have
Yes.
different operating system types. In the next class, I will discuss the remaining types of operating systems. So far, you have any doubts, let me know. As it is already 12:30, I think it is your lunch break. As usual, I don't want to consume much time. So please ask me, feel free to ask me the questions. So all the remaining who are not having any of the problem, you can leave from the session. The people who are having a doubt can ask me.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Can I leave the session?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Enjoy eating. Bye.